Your Excellency, thank you very much for this interview for Sky TV. Tensions have been escalating lately dangerously between Israel and Palestine. Is there a chance for de-escalation or a potential to blow up to something bigger? Egypt has played a prominent role in the past as a mediator. Do you intend to do it again?
Well, we have been constantly doing so. At no time have we relinquished the ability to discuss and to exert efforts to maintain tranquility and move forward with the political process. These times, as you mentioned, are particularly sensitive because they coincide with three important religious occasions, Ramadan, Easter, and Passover. And as we have seen, they have been cause of friction in the SKAM mosque, which has resulted in unfortunate confrontation and loss of life. And we did intervene and discuss how best to regain tranquility and to avoid further escalation. Escalation is very dangerous for the stability of the region, for the well-being of people of Palestine and Israel as well. And we continue to play that role in being able to convince all of the parties, including Hamas in Gaza, of the necessity of maintaining the tranquility and avoiding escalation.
One of the countries involved in the ongoing crisis is Syria. You met your counterpart a few days ago. Do you believe that there could be a viable political settlement in the Syrian crisis? And should President Bashar al-Assad be invited in the Arab League summit in Riyadh?
Well, the issue of the Arab League is contingent on the consensus between all of the members of the Arab League. At this stage, we are exploring how best to deal with the situation in Syria that has, unfortunately, we can say has stagnated over the last 2 years with a status quo that is not in the best interest of the Syrian people, nor is it in the best interest of the region. This situation with the presence of foreign troops on Syrian territory, with the lack of ability to meet the needs of the Syrian people, the economic conditions, lack of a political horizon, necessitates that the Syrian government and all the various political entities in Syria should move forward. The government in the implementation of Security Council Resolution 2254 and the constitutional process, as well as creating the confidence within and the dialogue between the various components of the Syrian political entities to elevate the degree of confidence and trust and be able to deal with the challenges of the return of the Syrian refugees to their homes. That was the primary message that I conveyed in my meetings, both in Damascus and when I received the foreign minister. And we seek to deal with the humanitarian situation that exists in Syria. But also, I think we have to highlight the dangers associated with the presence in Syria of vast numbers of terrorist organizations and foreign terrorist fighters, their presence without any clear policy or vision by the international community of how to deal with this challenge that poses a direct threat to the stability not only of Syria but of the region and primarily of Europe.
In what ways war in Ukraine has reshuffled the energy cards in the Eastern Mediterranean?
Well, undoubtedly there have been new dimensions and dynamics related to energy and the Eastern Mediterranean and the exploration and the discovery of gas resources, and in addition to the clean energy that can be provided by Egypt, provides diversification of energy for Europe in view of the decision that has been taken to reduce and relinquish total dependency on Russian gas. But we are looking to this issue from a perspective of our economic interests. It relates to our ability to provide an energy source to a market that is in need of it. A political dimension, I think, is a matter that has to be considered within a different context.
Greece and Egypt have built upon strategic partnership in many fields. One of the most prominent agreements is the one regarding electrical interconnection. Will this collaboration address energy safety issues in Greece and Europe as a whole?
Absolutely. The objective is to take full advantage of the special and historic relations that exist between Egypt and Greece, the strategic relationship and the level of confidence between the two governments, built on a very strong foundation, as I mentioned in the press conference, between the two peoples and the association of whether Greeks who have lived in Egypt or Egyptians who have lived in Greece. This leads us to find new areas of cooperation. And among them is the recognition of the need of new energy sources for Europe, and that Egypt has the resources, has the ability to produce green energy through solar and wind and green hydrogen that can benefit the maintaining the equilibrium of the planet, and at the same time providing a diverse power supply to our partners in Europe.
Relations with Turkey ruptured a decade ago, but there seems to be a momentum now of reapproachment. After Mr. Çavuşoğlu's visit to Cairo, you went to Turkey as well after the earthquakes. Did you discuss a roadmap on how you are going to overcome the obstacles, let's say about Libya, and what is the agenda in your forthcoming trip to Turkey?
We have begun a process because we saw that there was a desire on the side of Turkey as well as on our side to de-escalate the tensions, and that this course of action is in the best interests of the region, to lessen the tension and to create wider tranquility that can have positive effects on the peoples of the region. This in no way detracts from our special relationships with Greece, which is strategic, which is on a very strong foundation of understanding. And this is not a zero-sum game, but it is important to explore the extent of a change of course, a strategic dimension that can fulfill what we consider the principles upon which benevolent relations can exist, basically the non-intervention in the internal affairs and mutual respect and the application of international law, and not to maintain a posture of aggressive posture or an expansionist posture in the region. We have defined the areas that need to be addressed both bilaterally and regionally, and we will continue to explore to what extent we can find areas of convergence that fulfills the expectations of both sides and on the basis of the principles that I've just mentioned.
Bilateral relations between Greece and Turkey seemed that they have turned to a new page up until yesterday when Mr. Çavuşoğlu said again we should find a package solution to the International Court of Justice. Was it too good to be true?
Well, as they say, the issues are related in the implementation and the consistency, and we hope that all relationships take a turn towards the positive, towards accommodation, towards compromise, towards recognition of interests and the necessity to deal with differences through a political process and to arrive at conclusions that can support and accommodate the interests of both sides in an equitable and fair and just manner. This can have potential benefit for all countries of the region and increasing their cooperation and expanding their areas of trade and investment and contribute to the tranquility and the resolution of other crises in the region through cooperation and through common endeavors. The Libyan delimitation was opposed by both Egypt and Greece for legal purposes. The Sukhairat agreement, which brought this government, and the subsequent Libyan National Dialogue, which put in place the government that has maintained the agreement, clearly stipulates that the Sukharat Agreement did not provide for the transitional government entering into any agreements related to sovereignty.